Hey Panthers, it's Dylan. I'm sitting about 6 feet away from York's headmaster, Mr. Stewart, so he can answer your questions regarding the reopening of York Prep. Thank you to the students and parents who submitted questions, and also a big thank you to Mr. Choplin and Jordan Jetta for helping behind the scenes. And of course, Mr. Stewart, thanks for being here. You closed York before New York City closed its public schools. Could you walk us through the moment you realized that we had to shut down, and what were the steps that you took following that realization?
Okay, so schools were starting to shut down. Some schools already had COVID in their schools. The schools that had COVID shut down. We did not have any COVID in our school, but it was obvious if we stuck around, sooner or later,
We would get COVID.
we were going to get COVID. So I thought the best way to do it would be to give everybody notice and to shut down before we got COVID.
Yeah.
So we told everybody on Tuesday, which I think was March 10th, the last day of school is going to be the end of school on Wednesday, which is March 11th. And therefore, take your books home, plan accordingly. We're not going to tell you the night before so that you can't get in and get your lockers, bring bags, etc. So we closed on March 11th, having told everyone on March 10th, and it was closed in fairly good order because the teachers we also told so they could finish the third quarter on March 11th, so everyone could finish the third quarter, and that extra 24 hours of giving everyone notice meant that we closed in good order, and we got the third quarter grades in, and everything was fine. What happened? Thursday came, Friday came, we had no school. Saturday came, Sunday, I think at 9 o'clock at night or at 10 o'clock at night, the mayor decided and the chancellor that they were to close Monday morning. Mm-hmm. So the parents and students couldn't go to school on Monday morning, couldn't collect their books, couldn't collect their homework, and the teachers couldn't prepare. So there's no ideal way of dealing with COVID, but I like to think that the way we did it was pretty good. We gave notice, we planned, and we did it before we got COVID. Because for sure, if we'd stayed around, eventually you would have got COVID. So is it better to close the door before the horses bolted or after? I think before the horses bolted. So we closed while we were all still healthy.
Well, it was definitely a good decision. Obviously, what followed was...
But who knew?
Exactly. I mean, we thought that we were going to come back to school 2 weeks later.
So did we.
I remember the email was like, you basically said, we're setting up, we're getting the teachers prepared to do Zoom, but we don't think we're actually going to do it. And then,
I completely agree with you. First of all, I think everyone thought, okay, we're going to come back at the end of the break and have 2 weeks holiday and we'll have school as normal. What was extraordinary was how quickly and effectively the teachers pivoted to Zoom and how they took the synchronous schedule. So they took the schedule that everyone had and they literally, if you had English at 9 o'clock, you had English at 9 o'clock, you had history at 10 o'clock, you had history at 10 o'clock. It was extraordinary that the teachers pivoted as well as they did and we could stay with a completely synchronous schedule. In the beginning, it was tough to do gym and art and whatever. Gradually, we sort of even filtered them in. So it was extraordinarily dedicated, the teachers, to do what they did. I taught my class through Zoom and thought it was going to be one class. I didn't think I was going to teach the rest of the term in Zoom. It's more work. I didn't realize, teaching my class, how much you got through on a Zoom class because normally there's sort of interruptions and people ask you questions and there's a break.
But then you can just mute all. You can just be like...
Yeah, but in Zoom, you're just almost non-stop plowing through. You actually get through more.
I think it's funny because I bet teachers in real life probably want a mute all button for their class sometimes,
Teachers do. It's the interesting thing about muting is that you can say to everybody, okay, if you're well behaved and ask questions properly, I'll unmute you.
Like a privilege to be unmuted.
If you interrupt, mute. I mean, it's a handy little button. The way it worked out well. We thought we did it. I think as well as one could do.
Yeah.
But these are very unusual circumstances, and everything was sort of written in pencil.
Yeah.
There was nothing written in ink.
So we'll actually get back to the distance learning near the end, but so let's move on though to the reopening of the York building and the policies that come with it. So I guess the most important question is, will students and faculty return in the fall?
Yes.
Okay.
Students and faculty will return in the fall. Students and parents will have the option of whether or not they want to return to the fall or not, because we're going to do both. We're going to have classrooms, but we're also going to Zoom the classes simultaneously and synchronously to the home. So if a parent decides, or a child decides, or the child is sick, or for whatever reason, the child stays home, then they can see it at home and come back when they feel better or whatever. We're also giving the parents the option of deciding to stay home. And some parents may take that option. And if they take that option, then their child would stay home for the first semester, which is only 5 weeks. I would anticipate that there will be some students who will stay home for the first semester for the 5 weeks until things are more stable. If that's the case, we can socially distance our classes. So this room will have no more than, let's say, 11.
Yeah.
And we can have the 6 foot, and we can run our school as normal. That's assuming everyone's coming back, no one's staying out, which will not happen, but it doesn't matter. Will be 1 week out of 5, 1 week out of the first 5 weeks, they will be Zooming from home. So there'll be 4 weeks in school, 1 week at home, because we've designed our courses and our numbers so that we have about 12 in each class. We go down to 10. I would anticipate it will be neither necessarily 20%, or maybe one person will be out for 3 days. It may not be a whole week. But the worst case scenario is that a child would have 4 weeks of regular school and 1 week of staying at home. Plan C is that the governor, in his wisdom, says you can't open on September 9th, in which case we'll distance learn until the governor, in his wisdom, says you can. I don't know. But we have done lots of changes. I mean, lots of changes in the school, but we're talking numbers. Now, you may also say, what happens if you get a case of COVID in the school, and you may have to close the school and do deep cleaning for 3 days or for whatever the medical advice is? We are asking urgently, but for people to be tested before they come to school. The problem with the current testing is that it takes days before you hear. So let's say you're tested on Monday and they tell you on Friday, what about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? You might get COVID. So these are all poor situations in which we have to do our best.
Yeah, I mean, you're not in a great situation right now, obviously. I mean, the school...
We'll do our best.
We'll do our best.
But I'll do our best, and I anticipate that pretty well everyone will come back to school, and there will be some allowed, and that we will be able to handle everybody in school. So the 1 week in 5 is a worst case scenario, not a best case scenario. 1 week in 5, okay, you can handle it. It would be, so your child goes for 4 weeks and 1 week they'll be at home. But that would be a worst case scenario. And equally, if parents have critical issues, so they really have to work, let's say you have single mothers who have to work, they would be 5 weeks. And they would not be in that 5th week cohort.
Can like parents on a whim be like, well, actually today, you know, I may want to change the schedule, but can the student stay home for like 3 days and like come, you know?
The governor Cuomo yesterday said that he would not be surprised if the day before school starts, parents then decide to keep their child home.
So you're not really expecting a lot of, if they want to stay home, they can. It's not a problem.
The first option for parents will be, I expect my child to come to school, but that's not a requirement. The second option is, I really don't think my child is not going to come to school for the first quarter. And the third option, well, there's no third option. I mean, the first one gives them leeway. Of course they have leeway. Parents may decide things will change. If we have a second rise, if we have a sudden dip, we'll go with the flow.
So a question asked by a student was, will we have an orientation and will it be online or in person?
It will be online. Have new teachers here in the chapel, so to be socially distanced, and we will have new students by grade here, because they need to get to know the layout of the school before school starts. But there aren't that many for each grade, so but in terms of regular orientation for returning students, that will be online.
And this, I kind of know the answer to this already, but face masks have been proven to be to slow the spread of the coronavirus. The most frequently asked question by students is, will face masks be required for both students and faculty, and will it be required at all times?
More than face masks. We have 1,000 face shields and 2,000 face masks. So a face shield is that plastic thing, you know, that goes over your face, and a face mask is...
And is that required, or is
it will be required of faculty to have, because I need to protect the faculty, faculty to wear face masks and shields when there's contact, and we have enough shields we have 1,000. We don't have that, we only have 300 students. We have enough face shields. We would prefer that students wear face shields and face masks.
Okay.
But they must wear masks.
Yes.
The problem, just so you know, the problem with the mask is it does prevent you giving the virus. But you can get the virus through your eyes. You know, it's a droplet thing. In your eyes, I don't know if you ever put anything in your eyes and you taste it in your mouth.
Yeah. I don't think I've done that.
NAFCON or something like that. You put stuff in your eyes, you can taste it in your mouth. This is one system. So face shields, that plastic would have a sponge there, very comfortable, much more comfortable than face masks, which I find uncomfortable because they get wet and hot, whatever. Face shields, you peel off a thing and then it's pretty frog-free. Face shields, I think, are as good, and I would ideally hope that you have both. The other nice thing about face shields is you can just dip them in soapy water and clean them and use them again. You can use the masks. We have 1,000 masks that actually have a York Prep banner on them, and they're washable. But face masks will be required. But they're a pain in the neck. I mean, let's be realistic. You wear one of these things all the time. They get hot. They get unpleasant. I mean, I can't say that these are the most pleasant things to wear.
They're not. I can agree with you on that.
Actually, I wish I brought a face shield, but you know the face shield with a sponge?
Yes, I know it. Yeah, I can even put up a picture. Let's put up a picture.
Well, you know, so we have face shield for everybody. Three face shields. We have 3 face shields for everybody. So we give one every week, and my attitude is to give one every week from whatever. I think that face shields have the advantage you can actually see people when they talk. It's tough to see people. I mean,
It's hard, because especially for teachers.
You're a bank robber, or are you putting in deposits?
Especially for teachers, though, because they're like in the front of the room and they're not gonna be able to see what people are thinking. Like, there's a lot. People don't realize how much facial expressions play a part.
Absolutely. So face shields. I'm a big fan of face shields. Recognizing if we have both face shields and face masks, you can lower your mask, but you don't lower your shield, and it prevents you touching. Face.
And some people wear their mask wrong. Frankly, like some people put it below the nose, some people, and it's just like.
I already put now a twist in.
Yeah.
To get it tighter. But yeah, you're right. I mean, absolutely. The masks have a problem in terms of they're just a pain in the neck. Shields are much more comfortable. Yeah. So we'll have both.
Also, what other safety precautions will be in place for students and faculty?
How long have we got?
And will COVID-19 testing be required, and what frequency?
Well, let's take the last question first. Will COVID be required? We're urgently requesting it. The difficulty with COVID testing at the moment is that it sometimes takes up to 5 days or more to get results.
And it used to be 2.
It used to be, but ideally we're asking everyone to be tested. We're urgently requesting. That's about as far as we're going. We're urgently requesting. Certainly we're getting our teachers tested, but students we're urgently requesting. I hope everyone gets tested, but understanding there's a whack-a-mole quality about it, because you can get tested and then get COVID.
Right, as you walk out of City MD.
Absolutely.
Are there a couple of safety precautions that you wanted to highlight, like some of the big ones?
Well, the big one, the big one is that as you enter the school, your temperature will be taken by one of these trigger things.
What is the threshold for that? Like, what would be?
100 degrees.
100 degrees. Okay.
If you have over 100, we have rented an apartment across the street, which is a quarantine place.
Okay.
Not in the school. So that if you have over 100, you will go there until someone picks you up and hopefully takes you to a doctor to find out if you have COVID or not. Now, we'd hope that parents actually would take their temperatures on an ideal basis before, but you never know. So we will do the temperature of everyone coming to school. We won't allow non-student teachers or just to come into school. They'll have to wait outside. And we'll space the children until this temperature is taken, but it's instantaneously. The temperature guns are instantaneous. We have 2 entries, so there'll be a Columbus Avenue entrance and the Park Avenue entrance, so that we have, and if you think about students coming in, about half the school is in Jumpstart, so they come in at 8, and the other half of the students are in regular classes, not in Jumpstart. So you talk about 150. One of our huge advantages is we're a small school and have lots of teachers. Our teacher-student ratio is actually better than 1 to 4, but we don't normally advertise. It's better than 1 to 4. We have lots of teachers. And so teachers teach usually 4 classes, not 5 this year. And there are lots of teacher time to make sure that the bathrooms, we've redone the 4th room bathrooms, that the bathrooms are suitably spaced.
All of them redone, or
just the 4th floor?
Just the 4th floor, okay.
We redid all the water lines so we have more water.
And I noticed that they're automatic faucets.
Everything will be automatic. All the bathrooms are automatic. You don't have to turn on a tap. We hope that break will have to stay in class. You can't have break milling. We're going to have arrows so that you stay to the left on a corridor. I could go on. Why don't I give you a list?
Okay.
The science labs are completely renovated,
Yeah.
from soup to nuts. Each table is now a clover leaf, which means you're suitably socially distanced, and there is going to be perspex between each student. So the science labs are totally new, state-of-the-art perspex between each student.
And the roof too.
The roof is totally brought back, no more bees, I'm afraid. So it will be a classroom up there, or a free space, or a place for the lower school to have lunch.
Yeah.
And you could put lots of people, it's a huge space. So it's now a space. We have 40 new Purell stands added to the 10 we already have, so we have 50 Purell stands.
Mm-hmm.
And we're putting in plastic perspex dividers anywhere where they're not single chairs. So the art rooms and the jumpstart rooms will have a perspex sort of shield around so that you can talk, but there's perspex between the teacher and the jumpstart teacher. In the library, anywhere where you're sitting close to somewhere, there will be a perspex shield, if not the 6 foot socially distanced. If you're 6 foot socially distanced, there won't be a perspex shield.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not 6 foot socially distanced, there will be a perspex shield.
Okay.
We've taken out all the shared desks. You probably saw them downstairs in the
Yeah.
gym. So they'll all be individual. We ordered 80 new single occupancy desks. We're putting air purifiers in every class, which have UV as well as HEPA filters. We have also stockpiled equipment, not only thermometers, but I don't know if you know what the pulse oximeter is. It's a methodology of finding how much oxygen you have in your blood, and it's another indicator. We have lots of those.
Yeah.
The timetable has stayed the same, but we are having either at the beginning or the end when you change classes. So we'll try and work it on so that we have student compliance with safety measures as they proceed. We've ordered 15 new bike racks in front of the school with a sign optimistically saying, for York prep students only. Good luck with that. But anyway, so we have 15 more bike racks, because I think the big issue with school is not school. I think school may be the safest place. It's transportation here. It's getting here on buses and on subways.
I mean, I know for myself, I'm not going to use the subway anymore. Like, at least for the first part of it.
Exactly.
I'm probably going to be taking city bike or whatever.
Well, and exactly. So we have 15
Walking.
more bike racks, and if we need more, we can add bike in the backyard.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I think that's a change. One of the other changes are, now normally we have Jumpstart and teachers in the same room at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it doesn't work with social distancing. So Jumpstart teachers will be alone in their room at the end of the day with their Jumpstart students, as they will be before school, and the teachers will have to leave at 3:15. So the Jumpstart teacher will now have to be the liaison for their students. If they have a question, instead of directing, go and see Mr. So-and-so, they'll have to email, or they'll ask, and they'll email.
And will Zoom be used for
And
this too?
students will also be able to email. So teachers, instead of being at school for office hours from 3:15 to 4, will have to be on their computers waiting to get questions, or waiting to Zoom, if that's what students want, until 5 or 6.
Okay.
Because you can't have a Jumpstart teacher, and how some teachers have 6 or so students meeting them after school.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
It really doesn't work.
Yeah.
Our business office has a whole plastic dividers, and obviously we're increasing our spaces. We've added another mental health specialist, a new doctor is coming, mental health specialist.
It's a big crisis, the COVID.
It's a big crisis, for sure. So we'll now have 3. We have another tech person, because tech demands are going to be more. We're giving teachers a new computer. It probably will be a very advanced Mac Air, and they will have a little camera which they can position so that it will be on them. I'd rather not camera the class, because they're privacy issues. I want the camera to be on the teacher
Yeah.
and on the smartboard. The
Yeah.
camera will have a link, the Mac will have a link, so it can download. There will be a little thing on the Epson clever thing on the smartboard, so
Yeah.
it can download to the camera.
Yeah.
So each teacher will now have a Mac. This means that they can carry their computer and classroom materials with them. So the tower computers, which were in each class, will be gone.
Oh, you mean the Dell ones there?
No more sharing of keyboards.
Okay.
They'll be gone, giving us
Okay.
more. Every teacher will have a sort of podium. It really is a sort of a mobile cart, but they can put their computer on it, they can put the camera on it, and they can plug the computer in so they can charge it.
Yeah.
And so that will be effectively the way that they will teach to the camera and to the class. Because we need to be able to do both. It's very difficult to teach both a classroom and Zoom, and we'll try and do it as well as we can. We did Zoom well, I think we can do this well. We've also increased the size of our Jumpstart staff, so they will have fewer students in their Jumpstart cohort. I mean, we've tried also to give each teacher a packet so they won't have to share, I don't know, markers or all those things.
Yeah.
We're trying to do everything that makes common sense. Having said all that, it's risky getting out of bed in the morning. It's risky crossing the street.
It is.
I can't put my hand on my heart and say, and I come to school 3 or 4 days a week at the moment, I'm talking to you, and I
Yeah.
was going to come anyway,
Yeah.
and I'm coming tomorrow. There's always a slight risk, but what we can do is do everything we can to minimize it, and that's what we're doing. And if we have to go to this 1 week out of 5, we will, but that would be the last resort we'd do. And I really don't anticipate it, but you never know. Now, things will change. The rate in New York may rise again, in which case the governor may say, you close.
Yeah.
The rate may go down to 0,
Okay.
in which case the 6-foot limitation may be lifted and reduced to 3 foot. In England, it's now 3 foot.
Okay.
In which case, welcome back, everybody. I mean, great. And all
Yeah.
things, things may improve. They
Yeah.
may discover a therapeutic, and I suppose Mr. Trump is praying, they may get a vaccine, because that's how he would get reelected.
That's true.
But, who knows? The first semester is 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I suppose you take it as it goes. Every one of our classrooms, even the smallest classroom, can take 9
Yeah.
6 foot, because if your chair is against the wall, it's only this way, and this way 6 foot. You don't need this way because you've got
Yeah.
a wall.
Yeah.
So you put the chairs around the wall. In the middle you have hexagonal. We've studied all this.
So there's obviously a lot of research that has gone into this.
I could go on, Dylan. For instance, we used to say, as you know, the 6th through 9th have to put their phones in phone lockers.
Yeah.
And we used to use lockers. Well, we just have to trust the 6th through 9th.
I'm sure they're like cheering right now. They're so
We're just going to have
happy.
to trust them that they're going to
Yeah.
put the phones in their pockets and turn it off,
Yeah.
because you can't have them cluster around the phone lockers.
Yeah.
The same with lockers. We will give students books, but we hope, and I love textbooks. My textbooks I would have scribbled up on. My textbooks would never be sold because I've written something else. We hope the students will keep their textbooks at home and bring their laptops to school.
And you have digital options.
And digital
Yeah.
options, and every book has the digital option, and use the digital option. Anyone who doesn't have a laptop, we're giving teachers new Macs. We have lots of spare laptops. So if anyone doesn't have a laptop, we'll give them that.
Yeah.
Clearly we're going to learn as we go along. But the ebooks are going to make an issue. The labs are going to make an issue. For PE, let's hope we have good weather in Central Park. Here we come.
That's kind of about extracurricular activities. So will clubs still be allowed to run? What about sports, the play, Jumpstart, and the use of library after school? Will they still be allowed? And that includes gym class, of course.
The last one I think I answered, which is Jumpstart after school.
Yeah.
The play will be done as much as it can, bearing in mind that the first play probably will not happen until December. So you can do plays by Zoom. You can do a chorus by Zoom, actually, just everyone sings at the same time.
Yeah.
Clubs depends on the clubs. So some clubs have 3 students in a club,
Yeah.
not an issue. Some clubs have 16 students in a club,
Yeah.
possibly go to the roof, possibly go to the library, possibly go to the art room. If we can, I'd love to accommodate them.
Yeah.
Even the gym classes, the reason that you see those spaced out, you can see the 6 foot you've seen, they're 45 desks in the
I saw the gym. Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
So let's say it rains. Jim will be in the gym, but it will be at a desk. It won't be a normal gym class. Now it will be covered, among others, by gym teachers, and I hope they get everyone every so often to stand up, do this, and sort of stretch.
Yeah.
But I even hope that teachers, bearing in mind that we're all under what I call COVID angst. You can read my August thoughts, but we all are very anxious. I hope that we will do everything we can to make the classes fun and try and bring an element of comfort to a class.
Yeah.
So I hope teachers will at times stop the class and play Simon Says, or stop the class and raise your hands, stretch your out.
A little bit of Zumba, maybe?
Yeah, something. One of the things that I've always been very anxious about school is that school should be fun. You should want to come to school. And that school should be a place not only of kindness, and not only a place because I'm an existentialist of authenticity, but also a place that's actually enjoyable.
And social.
And social.
Yeah.
It's the social part of what you learn in school is social education as well as academic education. Well, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade need that more. I'm delighted they can come. They won't have a problem. The 9th through 12th, more academic education, so okay. But, I hope we can have some social, even spaced component. For instance, dance.
Yeah.
So we have the largest dance studio. You can have dance socially distanced.
Yeah.
You just won't ballroom dance.
Yeah.
You will do
Not much of the tango, not much of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can dance.
Yeah.
You can do things, and we will learn. We're going to learn to do things, just as we learnt from March 11th till June what we're going to do.
Yeah.
One of the things we did, you remember, in June, is we had these fun classes, and we said, look, it's optional for you. We had over 100 students come to those fun classes.
Okay.
From Jewish cooking to
TikTok dancing. I know that was a popular one among.
precisely
Yeah.
to whatever. I mean, to yoga.
Yeah.
We had over 100 students, and we had quite a few parents because everyone's trapped at home. Now we're having preschool in August, 2 weeks of preschool brush-up math and English. These are optional. They're free, of course, and if students sign up for them, but students can take 2 weeks before school starts of brushing up last year's. Let's say you're going into Algebra 1, but you're a little concerned about pre-algebra. You're going to Algebra 2 in 9th grade, but you're concerned about Algebra 1. You can take these 2 weeks, they're great teachers, and brush up so that you can brush up. Or you're worried about writing, getting back in the thing. People are trapped. Everyone's trapped. Why not take a Zoom class in brushing up? So we're really starting school potentially earlier, 2 weeks earlier, on Zoom for people to brush up. And as many people as want to, in their appropriate sections, can go and do that. I mean, it's still going to be difficult. Field trips probably have to be canceled.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Basketball, I guess there's going to be no basketball.
Yeah.
There may be sports you can do. There may be versions of.
And I assume no audience either, because that just
I
wouldn't
assume
work.
no audience either. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll have to be Zoomed. Whether they'll allow soccer, probably not. I don't know. Maybe you have 4-person volleyball. Maybe you can have 2-person pickleball. I mean, there are things you can do, but it's not going to be one school to be fun. You want to have all these activities.
I mean, school without socializing is just kind of depressing.
Of course
let's
it
be
is.
honest.
Because I have to tell you an experience I had, Bill.
Yeah.
So I was in Greenwich, Connecticut, and it was the day after Greenwich schools had closed. Sure, Greenwich public schools did socially distancing and did everything properly.
Yeah.
There were clumps of children on Greenwich High Street, Greenwich Main Avenue, whatever it is. Clumps of children without masks, hugging each other, all 10 or 12 of them, breaking every rule. Their parents had no idea.
Yeah.
Breaking every rule there was. You and I know that there's a limit to what any school can do.
I mean, physical distancing is kind of a concern.
And 15-year-olds, it's the most social time of their lives.
Exactly.
I mean, show me an adolescent, I'll show you someone who wants to be social. Reality outside school may be different. I mean, school may be the safest place because what happens outside school? What happens in subways? What happens when children get together? This case in Chappaqua, in Horace Greeley High School, where they had graduation by cars, a drive-by graduation. Sort of a girl went to Florida, came back that evening, they had a party. 5 children got COVID.
Yeah.
Did you see our graduation, by the way?
I did.
It was cool, right?
Yeah.
And Martin Short.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I was a really great video graduation, and I'd like to think that we do that sort of thing as well as we can do within the parameters that are not in our control. We're lucky we don't have food services. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's actually another question is about like lunch and break time. I know that you said the roof will be used, for free time, and I assume that means break. And lunch.
They can go out, students can go out.
Yeah, so for lunch they can go out, but I mean, I guess you just kind of have to trust that they're going to be physically distant and they're going to be wearing masks.
And seniors can go out. Seniors will be able to go out during break.
Yeah.
You have to trust seniors. You have to trust students. You have to, at break, it's going to be the same situation as after school. If you think about it, students leave school, they're going to have to socially distance. At break, they'll be in, but at lunch they can go out if they want to, and hopefully they will socially distance and be sensible. The restaurants are going to make them socially distant.
Sure, yeah.
But I have always thought that students value going out for lunch, really do. And it's been part of our whatever. I'm glad we don't have lunchrooms because I think lunchrooms will now be impossible. We have, I think you put your finger on it, the size of our school, and we are now being more strict about numbers. So we're actually refusing more students than any school wants to. We have the size of our school and the number of teachers that we have means that we are probably in a better situation than anyone else.
Yeah.
But but we still have COVID.
Yeah, it's still a reality, and it's
still a reality.
You don't have to be able to forget about it when you see
You
everyone
can
with
never
masks.
forget about it.
Yeah.
It's
face shields.
awful. It's just awful. I mean, it's just awful. It's sad. Yeah, I feel badly for the seniors. Yes, we had a virtual graduation. It's not the same as real graduation. We will have a reunion for them because we didn't have a prom. We'll have a reunion for them when it's safe to do so. Oh boy, it's so sad.
I want to go to extended absences because that's likely to be a major issue this year.
Yes.
And I assume that there'll be like changes in attendance policies, right? So
Totally.
will attending, and I assume this is going to be yes. So will attending via Zoom count as being present in class if that student is on time?
Completely. And parents have that option every day.
Yeah.
And you cannot take that option away. We will take attendance, Zoom and in the class. And it's like the telephone locker policy. It's gone out the window. I mean, you want to stay home and the parents and or child feels more comfortable, or the child has a temperature, or the child doesn't feel well, stay home. Do it by Zoom. So the attendance policy is totally changed.
Yes, great. So I just want to make that clear for everybody. And this is another one that I assume will be yes. Will students and faculty be required to report if they have symptoms or test positive for COVID-19?
They will, and not only will they be required to, I want to, in the interest of transparency, let everyone know. Now, if that happens, it's an interesting question because what happens if a student does have COVID?
Yeah, what are the next steps for the school?
The next steps we'll take medical advice because we'll find out when the student had it and how long or whatever. And it may be that we have to close the school for 3 days, do a deep cleansing, have Zoom, and we'll take medical advice.
Will other students also be tested to make sure that they don't have it?
We will certainly tell the students in the class, we'll tell everybody that we have a case, if we have a case of COVID, and it may be that we then would have to close if we have a case. Let's hope it doesn't happen, but sure.
God forbid, right?
But it may happen.
Yeah.
And we would want to know from students if their parents have it.
So,
I mean, you at your age, a relatively...
Well, I have antibodies, so I'm actually
Really?
I'm good. Yeah, I had COVID, so.
Could I have some of your antibodies, please? Gosh. And you probably didn't have it very badly.
Yeah, I mean, I was, I just had like flu symptoms. My mom as well, so we were okay. But what changes to the school schedule, if any, are being made to acknowledge COVID risks? And
well, there are changes. Orientation is totally different. Field trips are totally different. Field day probably won't happen. I mean, there's the aspirational part if they find whatever, but these days probably won't happen. On the other hand, I would encourage teachers on good days, if they want to take their kids. Let's say there's an English class in here.
Yeah.
I would encourage Miss Umansky, because we're in her room, she wants to take the kids to the park and sit around and talk 6 feet apart around an oak tree. Go to the oak tree. I mean, let's use Central Park. We're so close. Let's use Central Park. I would encourage teachers to be as imaginative as they can be. Use the roof. There'll probably be a sign up. You can be in this corner. You can be in this corner. Do everything they can to make it fun and to be sort of, alert to the opportunities that they may have in using the resources of the city, bearing in mind over our heads is the cloud of COVID.
That's true.
Always.
And you mentioned the roof. So are there going to be classes that are assigned to go on the roof, or is this just going to be like, when they're feeling like they want to go on the roof?
We probably will leave it to begin with a sign-up basis.
Okay.
I could see the art teachers rushing up there,
Yeah.
but it probably will be a sign-up basis. At the moment, we haven't assigned people to the roof because of the weather.
And so when it rains, obviously they won't be up there, and they'll just have to do it.
So if you assign, if you assign to the roof and it rains, and
Yeah,
you're
it
stuck.
just kind of sucks. Yeah.
So, by September, hopefully, it won't be as brutally hot as it is now.
Yeah.
And it's a big roof. It's really big. We're going to put up a 6-foot protected fence all the way around. And you probably saw downstairs the wood slat floors. You probably saw them downstairs.
Yeah.
So there's a fence all the way around. And there are 4 vents that come out the roof, and there'll be tables. We're putting tables on top of those vents. You won't notice the vents as much. Very cunning.
Yeah.
We'll use it. We'll use every space. We discovered spaces that we didn't think we had. And we're using every space available in order to make sure the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade can come without any question, always, all the time, and the 9th through 12th hopefully will be able to come pretty well all the time. I hope that 1 week out of 5 does not apply to the upper school.
And going back to gym and art classes for like a second, since we sometimes may not have them because of the
Art you probably will have because of the perspex.
So with gym, since we may not have it sometimes, like what will happen in place of that? Will just be a study hall? Will kids go home early?
There'll be a study hall in the gym. That's
Okay.
why those tables are there. And I hope the gym teachers will, up and move. The problem with gym and art is those and study halls are the times taken for the individual Jumpstart programs. So you have to have those because students leave at the end of one period, come back. So even if they go to the park, there has to be a traveling teacher that goes with them to bring the students back who have Jumpstart the second period and to pick up the students who had Jumpstart the first period in gym to the park. So you need those periods for Jumpstart. You need the periods, the double periods of art, gym, library, study halls.
Yeah.
You can't just eliminate them because we have kids in Jumpstart, and God forbid a child in Jumpstart should ever miss a substantive class. Never happened and never will. So a Jumpstart student never misses a class. So what do they miss? Study halls, obviously the first, but sometimes the second period of gym or a library class or an art class. So, those have to continue.
Bathrooms, we did talk about that a little bit. So they in particular have been shown to be like a likely vector for coronavirus.
No, but you still want to limit the number of children in the bathrooms.
And you did say safety measures were installed in 4th floor bathrooms. I just want to make it clear, like, what are the safety measures?
So with our Purell things everywhere, and we
Yeah.
encourage everyone to wash their hands or use their, washing hands is better than Purell, but it doesn't matter. So bathrooms during the day, during the time period of the day, teachers will be assigned just to make sure there are 2 students in the bathroom, no more, and they'll come and go, so there'll be a line if that's the case. Another one of our advantages is that we have 10 bathrooms or more in the school, including the one on the top. Actually it's 11, including the whatever. Anyway, we have lots of bathrooms in the school, so actually our bathroom student ratio, not something one usually discusses, is actually very good.
Wow.
We don't have huge bathrooms of 10 stalls,
Yeah.
which would obviously, so that's okay. I mean, I think that will work out.
So is the school communicating with experts in other schools on safety procedures? Is there a uniform
Oh,
policy for
God.
school, or is every school on their own with this?
Every school has their own plan,
Okay.
but most schools, from what I see, are stuck with, because they're larger and have larger classrooms, they have like 3-day, 2-day plans. I would hope that we can have all students all the time with the exception of those who stay, and we know in the lower school they can.
Yeah.
So I think the larger schools for once are at a huge disadvantage, but there certainly is lots of chat among schools, so we have to give the state, which we've already finished, our plan for COVID by July 31st. The state has not yet given us their requirements. It's like having to guess how much you have to pay in income tax without them telling you what the rate is, but that doesn't matter, it's the state. But we've already done our plans and ready to send them, and we'll send them to parents. So we're going to send, when we send it to the state, we'll also send it to parents, which enumerates all of this and enumerates pretty well everything I've just said. I hope it doesn't scare everybody, but it's fulfilling the requirements.
So finally, regarding distance learning, what kind of feedback did you get from parents and teachers and students? And if we unfortunately have to do it again, what would you do differently?
Okay, so it was really wonderful that we got such positive feedback on distance learning. I think in the world of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So I think compared to other schools, we did it better. And I think there was, other schools didn't do it synchronously. They just had videos. They did it 2 hours a day. My granddaughters had 2 hours a day. We had a full day. I think the parents were grateful. I've gotten very positive feedback, very, very positive feedback, not only on the distance learning, but on those fun courses that we've had. What would we do different? Well, we have better computers, I suppose, than have Macs, but there are cameras that focus for math on a page. Mr. Choplin pioneered, actually, so he pioneered it. This is ending on a note your parents may not want to hear, but I'm more concerned in some ways about the teachers, because some of us are not so young, and the teachers are going to get it worse than the students. So we have to protect the teachers as well as protect the students. So in answer to the distance learning, they do it from home.
Yeah.
How did you find the distance learning? It's not the same, right?
It's not the same. It's true. I guess my only complaint would be that we just kind of were at our computers for too long, I would say. And I kind of heard similar things from parents.
Completely agree with you. And I get Zoomitis.
Yeah.
After so many hours of Zooms, my eyes start going glazed.
It's not the same because you don't get that same dopamine rush, and when you're talking with people, it's a different feeling than just kind of talking to a computer, and it's just
and it isn't the same.
But
it's not I think we did it pretty well. Mm-hmm. I think that we tried to break it up. What happened is, as we moved to April, May, we didn't stick to the 40-minute classes. And we said to teachers, you can shorten the classes by a few minutes just to give the children more of an opportunity to relax a little bit. Because to be non-stop Zoom from 8:30 to 3:15...
It's tiring.
Exhausting.
That's kind of what I got. Near the end, I was just everything was just a zombie mode,
You and everybody else. So we just said, you can shorten the class a bit.
And I noticed that gym class was kind of okay, you can just go outside and, whatever. I noticed that they kind of...
there's no question that you get Zoomitis. Open houses will be conducted online. Admissions probably...
So you won't be having, visitors come in and look at the classes.
Exactly. All of that stuff has to change. It's just the deal, isn't it?
And exactly, and it's great because vaccine research is looking pretty good. We can only be hopeful and say that hopefully it's the beginning of 2021, but this would be the quickest it's ever been done. If this all comes to plan, it would be incredible.
And you'd have one term, okay, we could live with that. But if you had the whole year, we'd all go crazy. We would go crazy. Because part of the fun of being a headmaster or being a teacher is mixing with students. We didn't become teachers in order to talk into a camera.
And wear surgical masks.
And you don't become a student in order to look at a TV screen.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be back, and this was a school quite known for hugging. You could see everyone hugging on the,
we're a hugging school. That's the nickname.
We're a hugging school, and that was so nice.
Do you have any final thoughts and advice for the York community as New York opens up and life returns?
I've done this my 52nd year of being head, and in 52 years you have a series of problems, and there are disasters occur. A teacher suddenly gets sick and can't come in, something happens to this, something happens here. The only way to get through each problem for me is to know that there are going to be more problems that follow. And paradoxically, I find that comforting. I know that whatever problem I solve, there are going to be other problems, so I shouldn't dwell too much on this problem, because other problems are going to come down the pike. I'm old, my joints are going to hurt. One day, my joints are going to hurt. My knees, my elbows are going to hurt. Okay, one day I'm going to get a cold. If I think I'm not going to get a cold, I'm probably going to get some other disease. The fact that I get through each problem, I get through it knowing it's one in a series. So I shouldn't focus too much on this problem. I'm going to eventually get over it. something else will come by and some other challenge will occur. On the other hand, who would play a video game if you were guaranteed to win? If you were always going to win a game, why play the game? So life is a series of challenges.
I mean, being a headmaster was so easy, everyone would do it, right?
If it was so easy, you wouldn't need me, actually.
Yeah.
If there were no problems, you wouldn't need me.
Yeah.
So life is a series of challenges, and the way to get through these challenges is to know that even when you get through them, there'll be other challenges. And to some extent, that's what keeps one going. That's the challenge to get through to the next challenge. And I find that bizarrely optimistic, which is a totally counterintuitive way of looking at life, but that's the way.